Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows or the adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Winona Earp. So in this episode, we have a very interesting thing about dolls. It's not 100% clear what it is that he's keeping inside of him, but basically, apparently there's a drug that he has to constantly take and he's running low on it. But it seems like the people he's working for, his superiors, are cutting him off because basically he's not handling this purgatory situation well. They're not seeing results, and basically he wanted Winona to leave one of the remnants alive because he wanted to ship it back to his bosses. Granted, he hasn't told Winona about this whole situation, though. Doc kind of figures it out. He said, like, I see that you're kind of going through withdrawal, whatever it is that you're going, like whatever it's from, because even later on when you have that revenant, her mama, trying to eat him, she's like, oh, he tasted nasty, there's something wrong with you. It's like, what is with dolls? Because at the end of it, we saw after he took the drug, his eyes transformed like that. Is he a monster? Or I feel like he has to be some kind of monster, because in the Winona Earp comic book, from the little bit I've read about it, it's not just demons that exist in that universe, it's also monsters. That's what the unit hunts. It's not just demons, it's monsters in general. They're kind of like a monster squad. So I'm like, at least that's from my recollection from what I've read. I could be remembering that wrong, but I think that's the case. So it's like, maybe he's something else entirely. Basically, it kind of showed at the beginning that back in the last episode, the previous episode, when he got possessed, and he was talking about the fact is everyone kind of has something dark. Basically, whatever happened to him in Kandahar, like, makes you wonder what went down. Maybe like something possessed him back then, or maybe because he did something so heinous, it ended up manifesting itself as a monster. Maybe he got cursed or something. I don't know what it is, but it's like, he's definitely not normal or human. Because I doubt that's like a side of, I doubt that's a side effect of him taking a drug, it making his eyes go like that. I'm pretty sure that the drugs are fighting back whatever's inside of him. Because basically he's getting the shakes and he's sweating a lot. He is going through withdrawal, but maybe it's not just withdrawal he's going through. Maybe whatever's inside of him is trying to come out, and that's the withdrawal-like symptoms are him fighting it. So, but basically, revenants in this episode were very interesting, because basically it was like it was a daughter and a son. Basically, they were feeding their cannibalistic mom, because essentially back in the day, it was back then, food was scarce. The winter kind of made it hard to get food. And basically they ran a hotel, and Winona made a joke. It's like, oh, what you do, what your mom do, eat everyone in the hotel? And then the revenant girl kind of looks at her and she's like, she ate them? You really did? It's like, wow. Ate a hotel full of people just because, like, she got a taste for human flesh and just can't seem to, like, break it. So that's what this all was. It's because I kind of thought, I was like, the fact is he's slicing up meat, that means he's feeding it to someone. Winona was thinking because the reason why she was coming after him is because she saw the tattoo in the picture, meaning it was connected to whoever came after her dad that day. And she thought it was the brother, but it ended up being the sister. I figured as much when she was talking about the fact is that she was like, my mama used to dress me up like a boy. And she looked at her neck and saw the tattoo. It's like, you almost look exactly the same, especially a tattoo. But she's like, I got laser removal. She brought up the fact is that basically she didn't want to be kind of caught up in this whole revenant situation. She didn't want to help her out, her mom. Only her brother wanted to do that. She just kind of wanted to live a normal life, be a girl, make up, go shopping, stuff like that. But Winona kind of figured it out. She's like, the fact that you dressed up like your brother, that's you in the picture, not your brother. You're the one that came after my dad. She's basically saying, like, the Arabs, when a new heir rises, it ends up causing her mom to stare up, and the only way she could get her mom to calm down was by calming after their dad, because it was the only way to kind of once the Arabs are dealt with, when the current heir dies, it kind of like puts the revenants, like, it's back in a calm state, because they kind of run wild, they kind of get unleashed when the new heir rises. But Winona kind of put her down. And another side of this episode, we also had Doc. He's searching for the Stone Witch. He ended up sneaking on. He ended up sneaking onto Bobo's whatever, like, because Bobo's basically been digging up all over the place, and essentially Doc made a deal with dolls. If I find the bones, find any, criminal connection to Bobo, then basically you'll help me out finding the Stone Witch, which sadly Dawes kind of broke down that deal later on, which is very interesting because it's like they didn't get along to begin with, but now they're getting along even worse now because they're kind of against each other now because both of them care about Winona, but it's like each one's kind of going about it in a different way because Dawes is like, if she stays around you, basically she'll get killed because you're dangerous. And then then Doc kind of responds like, the fact is, well, can she really trust you? You know, being the way you are, like unhinged now, going through withdrawal, like how will we know that you'll even have her back when the time is right, that you'll even be able to focus? So, one of my favorite parts of the episode was because I'm just thinking about the end of the episode, the fact that she has that bike. I find it so interesting. I just love how the fact is she was so into that bike. She even pushed Waverly out of the way. It was just like she was literally drooling all over that bike. She was so in love, which is pretty badass. It'd be kind of interesting to see her kind of just like rolling around on that bike from now on. Necessarily won't have to be, you know, driving with like dolls. She'll show up at a crime scene or whatever in style with her bike. So. But Doc did come across those the bones that Bobo is digging up, and he ended up, you know, finding out that basically it's something Bobo's collecting for people. I mean, for that lady specifically, that they're things he's collecting to give to her. She don't know the significance of the bones, but that's what he's looking for because apparently they're scattered all throughout Purgatory, apparently. And basically Waverly, which, interestingly enough, there was a thing where Waverly got, you know, that letter from her dad, not her dad, their uncle, and basically it was titled to her, and basically it was a poem that led to her going on this little expedition. And basically ended up, you know, kind of solving a riddle and ended up finding bones. And she basically took it to the blacksmith, who's a very interesting character. She has some kind of, I don't know if it's like psychic connection. Maybe she's empathic. She's an empath or something, because basically when she met Doll, she could tell there was some kind of darkness in it. Granted, I did like the fact is that like she has like a landmine outside, and they're like, she's like, all right, come inside after talking to her for a little bit. She's going inside. They're like, yo, what about this whole situation? She's like, it's not live. What kind of person do you think? I think you're the type of person who buries a freaking landmine out in the front to kind of F with people. I think you're that kind of person. But I don't know, like, what she is exactly. Apparently, the Arabs don't, like, people in general, not just the Arabs, but people in general don't go to her unless they absolutely have to. She does seem like a bit of a weirdo, but it's like, what exactly she does, what she's capable of, I don't know. Like, what's her real purpose, though? It seemed like she was blessing Waverly, because when Waverly brought her the skull, because that's what she was told to do, basically she's the protector of the bones. And apparently she's like, oh, this is her son's skull, which is like, okay, so that is what it is. The Stone Witch is like that. At least one of them is her son. If not both, at least one of them is. Maybe the other one could be her daughter or something like that, but it could be her children. Not unless one is like her husband and the other one's her son or something like that. But the blacksmith found that out. She's like, why didn't your uncle tell me that that's what this was? She's like, you poor thing, you being chosen and stuff like that. Which something did come across my mind. What if Waverly was chosen because her uncle assumed that Waverly was going to become the next heir? What if it's not just because Waverly's special? Maybe it's because he assumed she was going to be the next heir, but, you know, he didn't expect Winona to come back to town. He didn't expect Winona to be chosen to become the heir. Maybe that was the case. I mean, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to sell Waverly short. I'm just saying because I think that'd be interesting, because let's not forget, she already holds animosity towards Winona for being the heir. Because, like I said, she went to college, she studied all this stuff about the demons, learned so much about them, just to end up not being the heir. So that'd be kind of interesting, because you end up finding out, wait, I was given this responsibility by accident, because it was meant to go to the heir, but our uncle assumed I was the heir. It was very interesting, the fact that she kept it from Winona, too, because the moment Winona came up, she hid it from her. Like, granted, it was meant to be specific given her, but she didn't bring Winona in on it. It's kind of a shame. Because like I said, you know, Winona's already the heir. It's like Waverly wants to feel special, and maybe that's the darkness inside of her, that anger and rage inside of her that Bobo was talking about before. Which also, speaking of Bobo, we got more taste of his powers, being able to do stuff like how last episode, I didn't bring it up though, I kind of forgot. The fact is that he was able to like use his power, because he has some kind of like telekinetic ability or something. Because basically he snatched Peacemaker away from her. Like he held his hand out and it flew into her hand. Basically he made one of his remnants. He made that remnant kind of drill into her own face. But something I didn't really think about is because there was that lady who was kind of hitting on Doc, and she was like, "Oh, let's have some fun." But basically, Doc was kind of pushing her away because whether he'll admit it or not, because cousin Winona is another. I mean, obviously he was doing what he was doing, checking out the bones and everything, and he didn't want to get caught by Bobo. But it's also because, obviously he's got more interest in Winona than he does her. And you see her later on, she's getting picked up by someone in a truck and getting eaten. That's the second person that gets killed in this episode. The first person was at the beginning. I assume that was all connected to Mama. I don't think that's what that is. I think that's a completely different person that ended up killing her. I think that means is that a killer rolling into town, or is that just a killer that was already in town, rolling around? I don't know. But you see her kind of get pulled into the truck and then blood splatters on the windshield. I don't think that was just, maybe that was connected to them. I don't know. I don't think it was because that never came up. So I'm feeling like this is a completely different thing. But the fact is, she was bleeding like that. She was a normal human. Which I never crossed my mind. I was like, yeah, Bobo is a revenant, so I assumed everyone around him was a revenant. But of course, he is going to legitimize things by having some humans on his side, because not everyone that works for Bobo knows about him, because he is a criminal. But, people don't know about the revenant side of his criminal activities. It's all for the purposes of getting out of town. But granted, it's like the reason why Wyatt came after him in the first place back in the day was because he's a criminal. Everyone in the remnants is criminal. So I guess it ties itself all together like that. So, but going back to what I was saying before, the fact is, because Bobo and Doc are no longer working together. He's like, Doc kind of pretty much ended that, because he's like, you know what? I don't need your help. Basically, because Bobo had told Doc, the address and the real name of the Stone Witch, but by the time he got there, she's basically on a run, probably got a new identity or something. Obviously, I doubt she's going that far, because she does still have to come back and get her kids. I mean, get those bones, like, once Bobo's found all of it. But basically, he's like, what? Because he brings it up again, like, why does the Stone Witch fear you so much? Why is she so scared of you? It's like, because, probably most likely because I'm going to kill her. And it's like, like I said, as powerful as she is afraid of Doc. Like, why? What's so special about Doc that she's so scared of him? It's like she did all that talking to him. Like, it seemed like she could freeze him and use her magic on him like anyone else. But maybe that wasn't, I don't know, maybe that was something she kind of just projected in his mind to try and mess with him. But maybe she can't come in direct contact with him or something. I legitimately have no idea. He did say in line that I really like, that basically Bobo was like, all right, you go off and you get dead. And he's like, I was afraid of dying one time, and even that didn't take. So it's like, I mean, it's like, at this point in time, especially being the way he is, granted, he's not immortal. I mean, he's immortal in the sense, obviously he doesn't age, but not immortal in the sense of, hey, a gunshot and a bullet, a gunshot and a knife, gunshot and a bullet, same thing, idiot. Gunshot and a knife will, he already, like, said that a couple episodes back, that's still enough to kill him. So it's like, why does it so much fear him? I do have absolutely no idea. So I do hope we get to find out a little bit more about the situation. Like I said, I'm still hanging on a bet that they're actually connected, that they have a past. So, but that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.